name's Rohit. Thank you for joining me on my channel Loving Soulfully, where we talk about self-love, soul love, and divine love. Today I'm going to talk about perhaps the most important thing in a relationship. I believe no matter how great your relationship is, no matter how much you love each other, no matter what a great love story you've had, if you don't know the art of fighting in relationships, if you don't know how to deal with and resolve conflict, then you're going to make a huge mess of even the greatest love story. How do I know? I've done it so many times. I've messed up so much. I've been so ridiculous that I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed. And the only thing I can do is I can tell you that I learned, maybe not enough, but a number of things. And I want to share them with you. So if you'd like to learn from someone who's been battle weary and seen all possible angles of it, I'd like to humbly offer to you the things I've learned. The first thing that I've learned is this: do not argue or defend your position. Do not try to be right. Do not try to prove your point. Do not blame or accuse. Do not avoid a fight or shut down. Do not try to impose your ideas or your shoulds or your beliefs on another person. Do not be argumentative, and definitely do not be pushy or aggressive. Shouting, yelling, screaming, nagging, complaining, crying, none of these will help you in resolving conflict. None of these will help for good communication, and none of these are going to solve the problem you're facing. Yes, your partner might give in if you're too pushy, or if you're crying or whatever. They might give in and they might do what you're saying, but that doesn't mean that they're not harboring resentment. Whenever there are two different people, they're going to have two different points of view. If you brought in three, there'd be 3 points of view. 4, there'd be 4 points of view. So as many people, as many points of view. And each person experiences the world differently. Each one of us sees, experiences, feels, and thinks about a situation entirely differently. Just because someone loves you doesn't mean they're going to think and feel and believe and do things the way you do. So let's start with that. We're different people. And the only way I'm going to know what you think is by asking you, is by listening to you when you speak. Now, in the past, what I used to do was, and I think you'll be familiar with this, I would be listening, but in my head, preparing a rebuttal, a response. And as a result, I wasn't really listening. It was just in my head. To listen really means to step outside your head, to step into the other person's mind, to see the world through their eyes. And that can be quite an art and quite a challenge. Some of the things that might help you are to pause and take a breath. While you're listening, while the other person is talking, pause your thinking, pause your opinion-making mind, and take a deep breath. Okay? Come into your body. If you're feeling attacked, if you feel that the other person is being too strong in their point or in their emotion, that it's not personal. Sometimes an attack can be a cry for help. Sometimes someone being very firmly convinced about their point of view can simply be trying to reassert something they know, but they still don't know what you know. And it's going to take a little while to get them there. The next step would be to notice what's going on in your body. Just notice. As you're listening to them, become aware. Maybe you want to place your hand on your body in a way of reassuring yourself, in a way of comforting yourself, in a way of telling yourself, it's okay, it's okay. This is not about you, this is about them. This is about the other person. And I need to just be present and listen. It's okay. You can have your point of view. I'll express it later on. But for now, we're going to listen. Your body, when it sees what it thinks of as an attack, whether that's verbal or physical, it doesn't matter. It's trained to go into a fight, flight, or freeze response. The fight response is where you just get argumentative and you want to fight back. You want to prove yourself right. You want to tell them what you think. That's the amygdala. That's that part of your brain that is responding from a very primitive place, wanting to prove your point. And then there is the flight mode. This is where you want to avoid. You want to go away. You want to go to your room. You want to escape the situation. You don't want to deal with it. These are people who will say to you, I don't like conflict. I want to avoid conflict at all costs. And the freeze response is where you just become quiet. You say nothing. You're just frozen. Maybe you think of something to say later on, but at that moment in time, you say nothing. I remember going back and saying to myself, I should have said this, I should have said that, going into a place where I kept repeating this scenario over and over again and reenacting what I could have, would have, should have said. Have you been there? Did you do that in your head? I think of this as a dance. The first step in the dance is to pause, step back, and quiet it yourself. In the second step now, you're going to step forward and into their mind. What does that mean? It means you get curious about what they're thinking. You go there with an open mind, not with any preconceived notions, just pure curiosity and openness, wondering what was going on with you at that time. What was your thought? What was your experience? How did you see this? Oh, is that right? Okay, I see. Because essentially, most conflict is about insufficient data. You know what you think, but you don't know what they think. And with your limited information, you're making assumptions, presumptions. You're jumping to conclusions. You're doing all the things that come from having insufficient data. So it's very essential to find out the rest of the story, the complete picture. Only then can you look at things in a balanced and objective way. Only then can you see where each of you is coming from and resolve whatever the issue is. The third step really is to open up, to drop your guard, and I mean become defenseless. This is best done with a loving and playful attitude. You may want to say to the other person, I never thought about that. You're right. Wow, that is an interesting point. Tell me more. And then what happened? Oh, wow, really? God, I was thinking something entirely different. You see, it shifts the entire conversation when you become defenseless. When you do not put up any kind of fight, where you're simply there, present. Understand that true power in a relationship is to be there with all your heart and being fully present. See, being present doesn't mean you're soft and mushy and wishy-washy and... No. Being a true lover is to be there as a rock, powerful, strong, vulnerable. The energy you want to have in dealing with the conflict is not one of being a pushover or an aggressor. You want to be neither. You want to be there as a powerful human being, unfazed, undisturbed, untouched by the person's emotion. Whatever they're feeling is their experience. Whatever they're thinking is their thought. You don't need to fight or attack or defend anything. The final step is to gradually move towards the other person, to invite them in. If they're mad at you, allow for that. If they are angry, allow for that. If they end up wanting to insult you or hate at you, allow for that. Be in your power. Be in your strength. I know it sounds easy, but it happens with practice. I didn't know how to do these things either. I had to learn. And it took time. But be willing to practice. As you move towards the other person in a loving, compassionate space, place a light hand on their arm. Perhaps they'll brush you off. Perhaps they'll let you in. Keep acknowledging what they're saying. Keep inviting them to say more. Keep affirming that their point of view is right. And you might think, oh, that's just being false, that you don't think their point of view is right. Of course, their point of view is right. According to them, their point of view is right. So affirm it. You're right. I never saw it like that. Tell me more about it. And coming closer and closer till you feel their anger, their emotion dropping and dissolving. And as that begins to happen, get even closer and go in for a hug. Warm, deep, loving hug. Hold them as if you were a big, huge mama bear or papa bear, lovingly engulfing them with your love, allowing them to feel deeply loved and accepted with all their thoughts, their emotions, and their unmet needs, which are usually at the heart of the matter. As you hold them, breathe energy into them, breathe love into them, and you will feel them dissolve and melt and let go of everything that was bothering them. Later on, when they're more relaxed, you can share with them your point of view, because that is equally important. But it needs to be done in a peaceful environment where you will be heard. There's no point trying to talk about your point of view when someone is totally upset or angry or hurting. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know what strategies have worked for you. How did you resolve conflict? How did you work things out? What were your successes? What were your failures? I'd love to hear about all of them. What are your thoughts about what I just shared? If you don't know, try it out and then get back to me. But I'd love to hear from you either way. Your comments are valuable and mean a lot to me, so feel free to share. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like to know more about these topics, and I'll see you in the next video.